What if I told you that one of the most damaging things many seniors do every morning is not eating eggs, not drinking coffee, and not even skipping breakfast? Curious. It is waking up in a way that throws the body into confusion. And after 60, that confusion can quietly keep your stress system switched on, make belly fat harder to lose, disrupt your sleep the next night, and increase the kind of internal wear and tear that aging cells are already struggling to manage. Because the truth is, your body does not just care that you woke up curious, it cares how you woke up. And if your mornings begin in darkness, stress, sitting, and mental overload, you may be teaching your metabolism, your hormones, and even your cellular repair systems to start every day on the wrong signal. Now, before we go any further, let me make something very clear. Pause. Cortisol is not a bad hormone. In fact, you need it. Cortisol helps regulate blood pressure, blood sugar, energy availability, and your sleep-wake rhythm. Under healthy conditions, cortisol is actually supposed to be higher in the morning. That morning rise helps your brain and body transition from sleep into action. The problem is not that cortisol exists. The problem is when your stress biology becomes poorly timed, chronically overstimulated, or disconnected from the rhythm your body was designed to follow. And this is where it gets more important after 50. As we age, sleep often becomes lighter, nighttime awakenings become more common, and circadian timing, your internal 24-hour clock, becomes easier to disrupt. The National Institute on Aging notes that aging changes sleep and circadian regulation, and that these rhythms are deeply tied to physiology, energy cycles, immune function, and longevity-related pathways. In other words, the older you get, the more expensive it becomes to live out of sync with your own biology. So what is the morning habit I want you to stop? It is this: starting your day in biological chaos, waking up and staying in dim, indoor light, reaching for your phone immediately, flooding your mind with bad news, messages, and pressure, sitting for too long, delaying movement, delaying exposure to natural light, and letting the first hour of your day become a stress reaction instead of a reset. That habit may look harmless. For many people, it feels normal, but your brain reads that first hour like a set of instructions, and those instructions affect far more than mood. Here is what most people never get told. Your body runs on timing. Deep inside the brain is a master clock in a region called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Think of it as the conductor of an orchestra. It helps coordinate when you feel alert, when hormones rise and fall, when digestion works best, when repair happens, and when your body expects food, movement, or rest. Light is one of the strongest signals this clock uses. Cortisol is one of the hormones influenced by that rhythm. So when you wake up and remain in low light, mentally stressed, physically inactive, and disconnected from a stable routine, you create a kind of mismatch between the clock in your brain and the demands of your day. And when that mismatch becomes a pattern, the cost adds up. Let's talk about belly fat, because this is where many older adults get frustrated. They say, "Dr. Becker, I am not eating that much more, so why is my waistline getting bigger?" And the answer is that belly fat, especially the deeper kind called visceral fat, is not just a storage problem, it is a signaling problem. Visceral fat sits deeper in the abdomen around organs. Harvard Health points out that this type of fat is metabolically active and produces more inflammatory chemicals called cytokines, which are linked to chronic disease risk. So this is not only about appearance, this is about what that tissue is saying to the rest of the body all day long. Now add stress to that picture. Chronic stress can increase appetite, intensify cravings for highly rewarding foods, worsen sleep, and push people toward lower activity and poorer recovery. Harvard Health notes that elevated cortisol levels can contribute to the buildup of fat tissue and weight gain, partly because cortisol helps replenish energy stores and can drive eating behavior. So when people think stress is just in the mind, they miss what is happening in the body. Stress biology can shape what you want to eat, how well you sleep, how much energy you have to move, and how efficiently your body handles fuel. And this is where the conflict goes deeper. Poor sleep can worsen appetite control. Poor sleep can reduce insulin sensitivity. Circadian disruption can interfere with blood sugar handling. Lower activity means less muscle stimulation. And less muscle means less metabolic support, especially after 60, when muscle naturally becomes easier to lose. So the morning habit is not just about one bad choice. It can trigger a chain reaction. You wake up stressed. You miss the light signal your brain needs. You sit instead of move. Your day starts in a fog. Your appetite becomes less stable. Your sleep the next night is weaker. And then you wake up the next day with the same biology, only a little more inflamed, a little more resistant, and a little more tired. That is how stubborn belly fat often wins. Not through one meal, not through one dessert, but through repeated hormonal confusion and metabolic friction. But the real reason this matters goes deeper than fat. Because your cells are listening too. When chronic stress, poor sleep, inflammation, and metabolic dysfunction pile up, the body experiences more oxidative stress. Oxidative stress means there are more unstable molecules, often called free radicals, than your defense systems can comfortably neutralize. Over time, that extra burden can damage proteins, cell membranes, mitochondria, and DNA. The National Institute on Aging describes DNA damage, mitochondrial dysfunction, and oxidative stress as major features of aging biology. So when a title says DNA damage slows, the responsible way to say it is this: healthier rhythms and lower chronic stress may reduce some of the biological pressures that contribute to cellular wear over time. That is a very different statement from saying one morning trick magically repairs DNA. But it is still powerful. Think of your cells as a city. Your mitochondria are the power plants. Your DNA is the instruction library. Your repair enzymes are the maintenance crews. Acute stress is like a fire alarm that helps the city respond to a real emergency. But chronic stress is like a false alarm that never stops. The lights stay on. The crews stay overworked. The repair schedule gets interrupted. And the city becomes less efficient at maintaining itself. That is what many people feel after 60. Even if they do not have the language for it. They say, I wake up tired. I gain weight around my middle. My sleep is lighter. My body feels older than it should. And very often, the first hour of the day is quietly feeding that cycle. So what should you do instead? This is the resolution, and it is simpler than most people expect. The first goal is not to crush cortisol. The first goal is to train cortisol to behave like a rhythm, not a panic signal. That starts with light. Get bright light into your eyes soon after waking, ideally natural outdoor light when possible. Morning light helps anchor circadian timing, and research in older adults suggests morning light exposure may improve sleep quality, activity levels, and alignment of the sleep-wake cycle. You do not have to stare at the sun. You just need to get outside, even briefly, and let your brain receive a clear daytime signal. The second step is movement, not intense exercise the moment you open your eyes, not punishment. Not some exhausting routine you will never sustain, just movement. A gentle walk, 5 to 10 minutes of mobility, standing, stretching, marching in place, or walking the dog. Why does that matter? Because muscle is one of your greatest metabolic allies as you age. Harvard Health notes that aerobic activity and resistance training can help reduce harmful belly fat and improve muscle metabolism. Movement also tells the brain that the day has begun. It improves circulation, helps glucose move into muscle, and reduces that stagnant, sluggish feeling that often drives people straight into caffeine, sugar, or stress scrolling. The third step is to stop turning the first minutes of your day into a psychological ambush. This one is huge. If the very first thing you do is check upsetting headlines, answer stressful messages, or mentally rehearse everything that is wrong in your life, you are asking your nervous system to sprint before it can stand. That matters. Because the cortisol awakening response is thought to help mobilize resources for the upcoming day. In other words, that morning rise is adaptive. It is supposed to prepare you. But if you pile mental stress on top of it immediately, especially day after day, you can turn preparation into overload. And this is why many seniors say they feel wired and tired. Their body is awake, but not restored. Their stress system is active, but not well regulated. Their mornings are stimulating them, but not actually strengthening them. Now let me give you a realistic first-hour routine that Dr. Becker could recommend to a patient over 60. Wake up at about the same time most days. Open the blinds immediately, or better yet, step outside within the first part of your morning if it is safe and practical. Spend 5 to 20 minutes in morning light. Walk, stretch, or do light movement. Hydrate. Hold off on turning your phone into the boss of your nervous system. If you are hungry, eat a balanced breakfast with protein and fiber rather than something that spikes and crashes your blood sugar. And if you drink coffee, try not to make caffeine the substitute for sleep, light, movement, and rhythm. That is the difference between stimulating the body and regulating it. And no, this will not melt belly fat in 3 days. That is not how physiology works. But over time, this kind of morning can support better sleep at night, steadier appetite, healthier circadian timing, more consistent energy, and a metabolism that is less likely to live in survival mode. Those are the exact conditions that make abdominal fat easier to fight and healthy aging more biologically possible. One more caution here, because this is important. If you have rapid unexplained weight gain, severe fatigue, easy bruising, unusual muscle weakness, purple stretch marks, or you are taking steroid medications, please do not assume this is just high cortisol from stress. Real cortisol disorders exist, and they deserve proper medical evaluation. Cleveland Clinic notes that both high and low cortisol problems can be medical conditions, not just lifestyle issues. So let's bring this home. The morning habit I want seniors to stop is not a single object, not a single food, and not a single app. It is the habit of beginning the day in biological disorder, darkness instead of light, stillness instead of movement, mental alarm instead of nervous system stability, chaos instead of rhythm, because after 60, your body becomes less forgiving of mixed signals, and when you give your brain the wrong signal in the morning, it can echo through your hormones, your appetite, your sleep, your belly fat, your inflammation, and the cellular where your body is trying every day to control. But when you give your body a calm, bright, active, predictable first hour, you send a very different message. You tell your metabolism the day has begun. You tell your brain where it is in time. You help cortisol act like a rhythm, not a threat. You support better sleep later. And you reduce some of the stress biology that keeps aging bodies stuck. That is not a miracle. It is better than a miracle. It is physiology. If this message helped you, I want you to do one simple thing. Tell me in the comments what your mornings usually look like right now, and which one habit you are going to change first. And if you want, I can also turn this into a stronger YouTube-ready final version with a more dramatic hook, cleaner retention transitions, and a more emotional closing for Dr. Becker.